Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
Generically known as TOSS, right? Transportation series, however you want to think about it. The thing that I remember just repeatedly him saying is anchor, wall, kick, alley. So the pieces of the blocking scheme, right? The first down block is the anchor block. You got to set the edge on the end. Then you got the wall, right? You're blocking the first inside backer, right? Then you got the kick by the tackle, and then the alley by the swabber, running back, whoever that second puller may be. And so philosophically, I remember those words, anchor, wall, kick, alley.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Alert the Post podcast. I am your host, Bobby Peters, and we are here with Pryce Tracy, who is the pass game coordinator at the University of Connecticut. Pryce, how are you doing today?
I am good. Thanks for having me.
Let's kind of jump into your background a little bit for the listeners that might not know who you are. So tell us kind of where you've been recently, where you've been a while ago, and what you're doing currently for you.
Yeah, so recently I've been here at UConn since late January, early February. Prior to this, I was at University of Georgia for 3 years. And then the long litany of my history is I started as a high school coach back in Indiana. 16 years ago now. I did that for 2 years, South Bend Clay High School. Rest in peace to Clay High School. It's not even a school anymore. Started there, went to the University of Alabama from there. Worked in their recruiting department for a year. From there, I went to Notre Dame, was at Notre Dame 5 years, and what was a homecoming situation was awesome. Worked in a variety of different roles there. After that, went to Arkansas Tech, D2, coach quarterbacks. 3 years at the University of Idaho, coaching running backs. Georgia, then here. So 16 years, a gamut of different places. High school, 1A, 1AA, D2, a little bit of everything.
The path of the coach, right?
That's right, man.
And you can take me through as many of these as you want, but I want to hear what each place has kind of imprinted on you, whether it be like philosophy, scheme, anything that you want to cherry pick for those experiences.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing to draw from each one is like the experience as a coach. Like there's a lot of great scheme and you meet a lot of great players and the coaches. There's so many, a cast of characters. But as a coach, you kind of get imprinted upon, if you will, and marks left on you in each stop and the scars of coaching, if you will. And I just remember Clay, the thing that I remember most is just how much I loved doing it, right? It was my introduction to coaching. And I was like, I found my thing, all right? I love doing this. I was doing it for free. A lot of coaches can relate, right? And I didn't even bat an eye. I loved every second of it, did it for 2 years, and didn't make a dollar. The thing I remember from Alabama most, obviously, Coach Saban and his history there speaks for itself. And they've written books and they'll write more and the history will be told. But the thing I remember most is just how well-oiled of a machine it was and how many moving parts there are inside that building and how each and every single part knew exactly what their job entailed and how clearly defined those roles were and how much everybody did their part in their role. So that really stuck out to me there. Notre Dame, the thing I drew from that was just Coach Kelly in the way that here's a guy who's had the opportunity to be a head coach close to 40 years now. And his willingness to each offseason look at what he did well, what he could do better, and what he learned, and then not being married to any one thing, not being stubborn, and not being willing to evolve. So his ability to just self-assess and then pivot and evolve is what I remember most about him and why he's been so successful. Where was next? Arkansas Tech, man, you want to be a full-time coach. There you go. Here's your first opportunity. And boom, right out of the gate, it's a tough deal, right? And get fired after one season, the whole staff. And so the thing I learned most about Arkansas Tech is this stuff is real, right? It is life change. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, man. If you're not dialed in, if you don't have your guys ready to go, anybody can get it on any Saturday at any level. And if you're not ready to go, it will be taken from you quickly. So I learned that. It was very felt there. Idaho, I remember the scheme. Coach Petrino is such a detailed guy in what he does and how he runs it. And I just remember the detail and level of detail that goes into offensive football and a scheme. Whatever it is you believe in, just the level of detail which you prepare and teach it at, that's what I remember most there for sure. Georgia, Coach Smart, another guy they'll write books about and the history will tell. He's in the middle of his career, but what I stuck out most there was what's important now, right? Just this mentality of in this moment right now, right this second, what should we be attacking? Let's attack it full force. Don't focus on anything else. There's a million things that guy deals with day in and day out, but just his ability to compartmentalize minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, and just focus on what's important now. Unbelievable. Never seen it done to a level like that guy does it. And then my time here at UConn, it's still fresh. It's still new. We're still easing into it, but just the excitement to be back in the quarterback room and getting to coach these guys in a position I'm passionate about. And that would be what I would draw so far from every spot I've been at.
Yeah, no, it's good. And every once in a while, I like to do the same thing. I like to take a step back and okay, what did I learn? Every year coaching, you learn something different. There's something that always just sticks out in my head, one or two specific things. And it's always good to take a step back and kind of remember those things so you don't forget them, so you can continue to grow as a coach. I do want to focus on those couple Georgia years where you were working with Todd Monken. I wrote a book on Todd Monken's 2023 Ravens offense, and I was absolutely fascinated at what they did and how they incorporated stuff he's done throughout his career with the stuff Lamar's been successful with previously. So I guess we could start with his run game philosophy, the core concepts that you guys utilized at Georgia during those years.
Yeah. So the thing I remember most about Monk is, right, his main beliefs were it's about the players. Secondly, it's about run game and implementing a physical approach in the run game. And then third was philosophically, he believed in pushing the ball vertically down the field. If you ask Todd Monken, those are his beliefs. And so everything kind of stems from those three core DNAs, if you will. And then with run game, I was with him for 1 year. I was there in 22. I wasn't there any of his other years. And for whatever reason, it just trended this way that we ran more gap scheme than I think he normally has done in his career. You'd have to fact check me on that. But just the way we self-scouted it postseason, it seemed like we ran more gap scheme in 22 at Georgia. And that was just, we were adapting to the parts we had, right? And that was his willingness, right? Core number one is players. And so I think the thing that stuck out with him and his run schemes were he was going to adapt to the players we had. We had really good O-linemen there that were athletic and could do it and could hold up on a back block. And so that was really that piece of it, if you will. Philosophically, he has a lot of cool things that he likes to do game planning wise. He's entrenched with perimeter, attacking the perimeter. He's obsessed with trying to make defenses defend 53 and a third side to side. He wants to stress them vertically in the passing game. He is this guy that is looking for opportunities to get players in space. And that's one way he likes to do it, I know philosophically, is get guys on the perimeter. So that was another thing that stuck out about him and his run game.
Yeah, no, I think especially with the Ravens in 23, they're both in the run game and pass game. It's exactly what you talked about. They pushed the ball horizontally, they pushed the ball vertically, and then the run game, they ran everything under the sun. Counter, they were just masters of counter. They ran zone, the different zone reads and all the different RPOs, arcs and bluffs, all that off that stuff too. One concept I do remember him running a ton at Georgia was crack toss. And crack toss is one of my personal favorite concepts. I think it's criminally underutilized at the high school level. If you get a good crack block, right, and you find a way to secure the perimeter, it's hard to stop. And I just remember you guys had a ton of success with that during that season. If you could walk me through maybe one or two critical coaching points for the concept, or maybe a variation that you found to be one of your favorites during that time.
Yeah, so generically known as toss, right? Transportation series, however you want to think about it. The thing that I remember just repeatedly him saying is anchor wall, kick alley. So the pieces of the blocking scheme, right? The first down block is the anchor block. You got to set the edge on the end. Then you got the wall, right? You're blocking the first inside backer, right? Then you got the kick by the tackle and then the alley by the swabber, running back, whoever that second puller may be. And so philosophically, I remember those words, anchor wall, kick alley. And then you got all the ways that you can get to that. You can shift to a bunch. You can motion down to a bunch. You could do 2x2 where it's anchor wall kick. You could do anchor kick, right? There's all different variations within that wall. But the key tenets and components are it's down, down, kick, down, down, around, however you want to remember it in your brain. that's kind of how it was taught there, right? And there's a lot of repetition that goes into that. Like, to your point, I think it's criminally underused as well. You do have to spend some time on it, right? Because for receivers that don't really live in this world of blocking, especially in the box, a whole lot, there's some work through you got to get ironed out, if you will. But an awesome play, good in the red zone. You can do some fun stuff, play action off of it, like you've seen the Ravens do, where they speed break, tackle over. He's lined up like receiver at the point of a bunch. They're faking the toss, throwing vertical seams. There's a lot of cool stuff.
For sure. Yeah. And I think just to kind of expand on that a little bit more too, I think the versatility of the concept, like you mentioned, it's a great red zone concept. It's a great short yardage concept. It's one of those, you call it, run it plays. There's very few looks that defense can do box number wise or box count wise where you just don't love it. Yeah, no, that's all good stuff. I recently finished my study on Liam Cohen's 2024 offense with the Buccaneers in a book titled 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers Complete Offensive Manual. In this book, I take you concept by concept through his entire offense from run game, play action, drop back, and screen game. All aspects of the offense were fun to study. The run game is a little bit more than the typical Sean McVay disciple run game, which usually features plenty of mid-zone and duo concepts. But Liam Cohen's offense really excelled with counter variations, where I spent about 4 or 5 sections discussing all of them. He also dabbles with some really neat auxiliary runs that are often game plan specific and called less frequently, but are designed to have a large impact on the game plan. The dropback pass game features some McVay staples, but also some other classic concepts with some neat tweaks to focus and feature different players within Tampa Bay's offense. My favorite sections of the book surround the screen game, where I spend nearly 40 pages discussing all the different screen variations that Tampa Bay used. Most of their screen designs, and grouped together by concept, averaged roughly 8 to 9 yards per attempt for each of them. They were a ton of fun to study, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of the most detailed offenses that I've studied in a long time. Get the 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers Complete Offensive Manual on Amazon today. I know you've had a heavy hand in red zone preparation during a few of your stops. What are your main philosophical, like when you start to game plan for a defense in the red zone, what do you start by doing?
Yeah, so the main thing I start with is, right, it's one of these obscure situations in football where there's sometimes isn't a lot of clips. So the first thing I do is I pull every clip I can get, 20-yard line and in, and then I really differentiate the red area in a couple different ways. So 20 to 12, 11 to 3, and then 2 and in. And so I'll divide it into those 3 pies. I'll draw out the third downs, and I'll see how much base football we have first and second down. Do I need to keep the 2-minute? Can I take the 4-minute out? I try to see what kind of base I have in those components. And then if I need to pull from a year prior, I'll pull from a year prior. First thing you want to do is have a girthy enough cut up to where you can start to establish trends. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll watch it and see if there's any type of theme that you can pull, any type of philosophical approach by the coordinator. Is there a line of demarcation where he switches from his open field defense to his red area defense and things like that? And then the lower you get, when does he switch to his bracket red area 7 or his saw cover 0? When's he really get into that goal line thought mentality, and what is his goal line mentality? And then from there, you kind of build it. I like to go top down, so I start out and work my way in. I philosophically like to have a couple different ways to get fastball. I love speed break or huddle, break, tempo, get out of a huddle quick, try to get them without being set. I like to take shot plays from the fringe. I like to have some sort of FIB, pass play, just all types of ways to change cadence, change tempo, get in and out of personnels, and try to dictate the terms to the defense and not let them dictate to you.
No, that's an awesome answer. It gives coaches so much to think about when they're game planning the red zone and stuff to account for that can make sure you're prepared for the situation. I got to ask, going up against Kirby Smart in practice, in the Kirby Smart defense and those guys at Georgia, what's that like?
Intense. I don't want to overestimate my role there, right? I was an analyst. I wasn't a full-time coach or a guy that was in any way, shape, or form calling plays or going against him in a chess match, but just the thing from the side that obviously great players, right? Great players is the first thing that comes to mind. They recruit at such a high level, especially on defense and offense, but defense, right? They're known for that. So it's the players, one, the scheme, two, like there's not schematically something that they don't do, right? And so just all the variety of looks, the pressures, the fronts, the fire zones, the coverages, the disguise, it's just like they do it all. And so it's a headache. What's it like to go against? It's a headache, but man, does 9 times out of 10 to Saturday feel so much easier in the fall when you've done that for 11 months straight. So it's That's what I remember about it, man. Just some great battles and intensity. Bloody Tuesday, for those that know Georgia football, know what that is. And yeah, man, it's intense, but it's good. It's a cauldron.
Yeah, I had to ask about that too, because I've been a part of a couple of staffs where both as the play caller and like a position coach, where those third down periods, like on Wednesdays, at the high school level, get pretty intense. And then you always have competitive 2-minute situations too in practice. And the defensive coordinator's whipping out, stuff that he doesn't normally call in a game, right? You're seeing blitzes and stuff you haven't seen all year. I'm like, what are you calling this now for, right? This isn't even in the game plan this way. That's like you said, you got to be prepared for anything in those competitive practice situations.
And you know how it goes, spring ball or fall camp, like you get to practice 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, we're not trying to scheme for each other, but we're competitive guys. And so you know how it goes.
For sure. Let's get a little more specific into the pass game stuff. So I'm always in the search for like all-purpose pass concepts, right? You have your cover 2 beaters, your cover 3 beaters, your cover 4 beaters. But I like a concept, especially like what the conversation we just got off of, right? You're talking about going up against a Kirby Smart defense when you don't know what you're going to get. I like to find all-purpose pass concepts where you can give your quarterback answers to 90-95% of the different looks he's seeing. What's one of your favorite all-purpose pass concepts?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones out there. First one that comes to mind is like pure progression, 2x2, whether it's 2x2 detached or tight end and a wing set. But you got Omaha or quick out with a corner route. So you got corner flat, cross from number 2 to the field, in cut by number 1, back check swing, back check stop to the field. Just your true pure progression, starting the boundary, 1A, 1B, right, to 2, to 3, to check down. It seems really easy. It is really easy. There's just a lot of easy answers in that play, and that's one that comes to mind for sure.
That's one of my favorites too. I actually did a podcast with Dan Casey earlier this week, and I outlined that as one of my favorite pure progressions as well. So that's funny that I didn't know what your answer was going to be there. So that's funny that we're on the same page with that style, right? The kind of that high low to the boundary, and then you got the cross and the dig coming back from the field.
There's some fun ones, like you see the NFL guys now, they're kind of doing these hybrid mixed quick game, right? You got arrow stick, then you got a reset to the cross. That's kind of a fun one that you can do. And there's a lot of good stuff. That's for sure one of them.
Yes, definitely. Now, kind of shifting gears to like more the coverage beaters, right? Like there's, one of my recent seasons, coaching here in the Chicago Catholic League, there were, I believe, pretty much every team we played outside of like 1 or 2 were quarters-based defenses. And I know high schools across the country still base out of quarters. What's one of your favorite quarters beaters that you've used over the years?
Quarters, man. There's all different types of ways to attack it, right? I mean, 2x2, 3x1, obviously the different ways they play it. Just 2x2, I like to get some way to get a post up, right? A post on a corner, whether it's off hard run action, maybe you pull a guard, you do some sort of pull-up pass, anything where you can try and get a safety down and get a post in behind them, whatever that action, off of action looks like. Grab the other safety with some sort of deep in and return or deep sit, some way to get behind one safety with a post and grab the other one with some sort of deep developing route, and whatever kind of run action you want to build it off, whatever marries your run game. 3x1, I'm talking mini, 3-man triangle over 2 and 3. I like some sort of post by 2, in cut by 3, under by 1. Just trying to get 2 in breakers, right? 2 in breakers or 2 out breakers versus the triangle, the palms, if you will, the 3/2 mini coverages, people call it. Those would be my, off the top of my head, quarters beaters, 2x2, 3x1.
Nice. There you go. I've been on a screen rabbit hole, especially some of the teams I've been studying recently. I just wrapped up a Buccaneers manual, and I think I spent 40 pages discussing the various screens that Liam Cohen used and all the different details that went into it. And how, some of these averages were like 9-10 yards an attempt with these, which really stood out to me. And it really, had me thinking how screens are an important part of well-oiled offenses. So what's one of your favorite screens that you've used over the years?
Yeah, to that point, and again, back to the Kirby Smart defense, sometimes it's just the easiest answer, right? All these defensive coordinators, right, they want to be exotic and do all this fun stuff, and they love their blitz pass and how can I get an unhatted guy? And it's sometimes as an offensive guy, you just refuse to participate, right, and just throw a screen out and that's fine, you guys can spend all that time, we're just going to spit it out here. And so, a couple of my favorites would be just a wall screen, right? Like Georgia, you would have seen us where it's 3x1, number 2's getting the ball, 3's blocking man over 2, 1's blocking man on. If it's man, run him off. If it's zone, you got to block him. And then you got play side guard, pull opposite with the running back across, and then all other linemen are out, and they're kicking wall, and we're getting behind. And that's a popular one.
How do you teach the play side tackle on that? Because I've seen that a few different ways where you're faking the guard's going to pull opposite, and then that play side tackle, I've seen it where he either just fully just pass set on the D end, or he'll kind of take 1 or 2 steps down and then release out too. How are you guys coaching him up?
Yeah, so it's a quick flash set and then get out. A thing that we've toyed with and we've studied and I thought was pretty cool is we've watched a couple NFL teams, and one in particular, they teach their tackle to the play side to put his hand up and flash it in front of the DN's eyes. And it kind of disorients him as he gets out. So it's quick 1-2. He's got his hand, literally, he's looking to put his hand in front of the DN's eyes, disorient him, and then get out. So I thought that was kind of cool, something we're thinking about toying with.
Nice. Yeah, I've never heard that coaching point. That's a good one. I'll have to look for that now. I'm going to pull a cut up of those and try to see if I can find some of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you off camera which team it is.
There you go. I'll look them up for sure. So last question here. We'll wrap up here on this one. So what's one of the favorite teams, college or pro, that you've studied this offseason, and what have you enjoyed the most about it?
Man, if I'm being honest, I just got off the road a month straight. I've got a list of teams I want to watch, and I've got a couple cut-ups made. I'm interested in, I watch the Packers a lot. The Bills are intriguing. I think I like some of the stuff that the Texans have been doing. Obviously, there's a new coordinator there coming from LA. Man, I haven't dived too deep into the last few years. I've watched a lot of pro ball. I was actually going to watch more college this offseason. I want to look at a little bit of Texas. I think Texas and Sark does a good job, and those guys on the staff there. Ohio State, right? National champs, right? There's some things you can glean from them. And then third down, watch teams that are good on third down, see what guys are doing. I like to look into certain little packages of plays, like 4-man distribution, 4x1 pass game, just little wrinkle stuff, teams that shift, teams that motion, who's doing what. So PFF is a great tool. And I haven't got too deep to answer your question, but definitely will in these next few weeks.
Yeah, no, same with you. I haven't gotten to a ton of college ball yet, so I'm hoping this summer I'm going to have some time. Texas is definitely on my list. I think, obviously there's that pro, Sark has some of that pro influence and kind of that pro pass game, with kind of the college run game, RPO stuff. He'll get into unbalanced, still do some of the, the more effective stuff that you've seen at the lower levels too. So it's a really nice blend of a lot of different stuff. So they're definitely on my list too. Well, Pryce, I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate you jumping on with me.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Alert the Post on the Coaching Coordinator Network. If you want more Alert the Post content, check me out on X at B_Peters12. Or for more long-form content, check out my Substack at alertthepost.com. There you'll find weekly articles, sections from my books, full complete season breakdowns, and at least once a week, I post a full season cut-up for subscribers on alertthepost.com.